Senate Republicans voted to advance a $9 billion package of DOGE spending cuts, which would draw back funding for foreign aid and public broadcasters NPR and PBS.
The vote passed with a 51-50 narrow margin, and Vice President J.D. Vance broke the tie. Republican Senators Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Mitch McConnell teamed up with Democrats to vote against the bill.
Originally, the White House planned to remove around $400 million in cuts to PEPFAR, the Bush-era foreign aid initiative designed to battle HIV and AIDS. But after a meeting on Tuesday, White House Budget Director Russell Vought told reporters, quote, PEPFAR will actually not be impacted by the rescissions. This bill must pass in the House before Trump can sign it into law. Senate Majority Leader John Thune called the package a, quote, significant down payment on getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse in our government.
Here is House Minority Leader Hakeim Jeff on MSNBC yesterday.
And why in the world would we ever enter into a bipartisan negotiation to try to arrive at a spending agreement that meets the needs of the American people? They're just going to come back through this rescission mechanism and undo the parts of that agreement that they don't like.
Well, this is great. I have been so happy for Congress to finally do something. For weeks, for months, I've been saying Congress must act. DOGE just doing spending cuts, identifying them, and having Trump via executive order cancel spending is not going to hold up in court. There has to be rescissions where Congress votes to undo the spending, and you can actually do that without needing the filibuster-proof majority in the Senate, which you'll never get. So this is great. This is what DOGE wanted to do. This is what Republicans ran on, identifying programs that the American people don't want to spend their taxpayer dollars on. And so I am glad.
I agree with you that it is less serious if it's the executive order and Elon Musk suggested, and then in the
they suggested, and now it's been done.
So now actually to come to the desk of Congress is the right way to go about things. However, when you have 3 Republican senators saying this is not appropriate, they don't want to see stations that are public access stations go away, then obviously you should listen to the voices of the constituents, right? They're trying to tell you that maybe this doesn't have to come on the back. And I told a whole...
They're squishy pseudo-Republicans.
No, they are.
Come
on, now, they always have a new name for Republicans that just make one dissent. That's the problem with
MAGA. They can dissent.
They can't ever dissent, or else you're kicked out of the party.
As long as they dissent in not enough numbers to actually right? They take turns in who dissents so that we still get to 50, 51.
I know that you care the least, and I don't mean this in any malicious way, about international aid, right?
Yes.
And that's where the majority of these cuts are coming from, which I think is the wrong move. But also there's a huge amount, over $1 billion, that's going to be cut from public TV stations, and I don't think that that's the right move. And I think that these senators who disagreed, that's their main point. This is not a good idea. We're cutting this for what? And to what end? What are we replacing this with? Because the access is key. Even if you don't like Sesame Street, you like to know an Amber Alert. If you don't have a cell phone, you like to know what's going on in your neighborhood, right? You want free information that is unbiased. And I think that that is what is disappearing, unfortunately, on the chopping block. And
well, we argued a lot about that yesterday.
We did.
People should go back and check your lens from yesterday for our argument there. You know, I get, without relitigating that entire argument, what about American people who say, okay, well, I would still like some funding for Sesame Street because my kids watch that, but why are we sending billions overseas to mitigate the harms of diseases in Africa? Why do the American taxpayer dollars have to be spent on that? They restored the funding for PEPFAR. I understand PEPFAR is a very successful program that relatively doesn't cost a lot of money for the amount of lives saved it does in HIV/AIDS prevention, but again, how can you, I don't know how you can make the argument that the American taxpayer should always be on the hook for people being, I mean, I'm in favor of being charitable. Charitable organizations should do that, and people should give to those causes, just causes, but why do we have to pay for it?
Part of it is
forever?
Part of it is a little bit of a moral obligation, I think. That's the right thing to do. But the second part of it is actually a logical obligation, because people might come over in our country at some point and visit and bring over different diseases that we're not, you know, stopping or putting a hold on.
This is not COVID. This is a disease. I mean, this is not a contagious. I mean, it's
no. They're fighting $8 billion
part of the population
fighting diseases around the world, and I think that we don't want to see that happening. If we can do something about it, why would we not? Why would we not try to help people in the world?
There's always someone.
If there's a allotted budget, I know, but you can't make this voice. It's just called having empathy. That is what the United States stands on. We are the superpower, and it's just the right thing to do.
it's just the right thing to do. It commits you to spending an endless amount of taxpayer dollars on causes all over the globe. I think the American government's moral obligation is to the American people, not to the people of Somalia or Ukraine or Israel or Palestine or Egypt or Brazil or anywhere else. It's just to the American people. It's our government. We pay into it.
I'm also America first, Robby, but I just think that you should have a more nuanced view on what we should do as a superpower, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, I'll say this about with Russia and Ukraine, right? We have to deter dictators to say the small guy should not be picked on in this way.
You see the difference between...
But we have to say that about foreign nations that don't have access to simple things that can change lives, save children. Like, we can also give back in those ways. And one billionaire can give back also. No, that's not manipulative, because you'll also say billionaires should go do it themselves, and they have.
Should and must are different terms. I draw a distinction between you ought to, this is good of you, and you should be required by law. Because if it's taxpayer dollars, we have no choice in it. The choice is, or you go to jail if you don't pay your taxes. That is coercive morality on behalf of other people, and that is what I am ideologically opposed to.
The people are going to say, shame on you.
That does it for us today on Rising Live. Thanks so much for watching. Look out for more exclusive YouTube content coming your way today right after this. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe to The Hill's YouTube channel so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we're now available anywhere you can listen to podcasts. See you later.